and welcome to the 2015 Chicago Custom and Vintage Drum Show, the 25th anniversary. Jim Messina is my name, and I'm proud to be here with two very significant figures in the vintage drum collecting community. Mr. Adrian Kirchler, how you doing, my friend? This is a special thing. Bob Campbell, you remember Bob from last year and previous videos. Big time collectors, these are the guys. But I'm so glad to have Adrian here this year, who will be presenting upstairs at, I believe, 3 o'clock. Adrian has come all the way from Europe, Italy? He lives in Italy, and for those of you who don't know, many of us collectors know Adrian because of the incredible artisan type of work that he does, creating his own vintage drums that are from scratch. They're just works of art. You may have seen the gold triumphal reproductions that he did. Fantastic. Here's the artisan who did that. And Bob and Adrian are going to tell us a little bit about this special drum that's sitting right in front of us. What's the story with this, guys?
I decided to make this drum for this special occasion, for this...
Just for this show?
Just for this show.
Ah!
Because I've been invited by Rob to come to the show, and I wanted to bring something unique, special. What else could I make but a Black Beauty?
Yeah, this is a Black Beauty style, but I'm close to this, you guys, and I can't believe how you've done this, Adrian. It's got the floral pattern I see, and this is all engraving that you do.
Yes.
Everything from scratch.
Everything that you see is made by myself.
Absolutely.
Except the tension rods.
Okay, except the tension rods. I see. But collar hooks?
Yes.
They're
all reworked by myself and band by myself.
Okay. Amazing. Bob, what's the story with this?
So maybe I'll go back in history a little bit. I became aware of Adrian's wonderful work, part because of some of the phenomenal restorations that he had done on earlier engraved drums from the 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yes.
And he's actually done a couple of drums for me as well, where he could bring back the black nickel plating while preserving the original engraving.
That's an interesting question that I've been wanting to ask. And now that you're sitting right here with me, I have some drums. In fact, I think I sent a drum, or sent you some pictures of a Leedy drum that had needed to have the engraving more pronounced, and you have a way of doing that. How do you do that? What do you do when you have dull engraving that needs to pop out?
When I have dull engraving, then I first clean all the shell.
Yes.
It depends a little bit. If it's still the remaining black plating on the shell is still intact, then I have to be very careful. I'm just cleaning it with warm water and dishwashing detergent, and just with a light toothbrush, but really not with abrasive cleaners or something like that. And it's just, and then I'm sealing the original engraving with sort of a lacquer, but just the engraving cuts, and all the rest of the.
So when you want to reapply black nickel,
yeah.
How do you protect the actual original engraving and make it so that doesn't become black nickel?
By sealing it with a lacquer.
I see.
And just the engraving cuts, and the rest is the bare metal.
Speaking of engraving, where did you learn to do this exquisite engraving?
I learned it actually most by myself, trying. I was a goldsmith, and engraving was a small part of my job. But actually, the instrument engraving is a whole different kind of engraving, and I learned it by doing.
Now I see that this particular drum on the shell, on the hoops. If you can see, our audience might not be able to see it, but on camera we'll get it. It looks like you've actually aged it. There are wear spots, intentional wear spots in here, and it's amazing. I cannot tell.
Yes, a good aging can just be done if the hoops are installed on a drum. So I put the hoops on a 10 lux drum, I put the lugs on a 10 lux drum, and I do the aging on the drum shell.
I see.
So you just have these spots that normally are worn down. I can make it exactly look like an old piece of hardware.
Now, at your shop, do you have actual plating tanks there?
I have Just a small plating tank for small parts. For the rest of the things, I can go to a plating shop that's 20 minutes from my house, so I can go there. I can even work there.
Yeah.
But for the bigger, for shells and for
that's pretty convenient, because where I'm from, in Florida, the EPA has got, it's very hard to get plating done. It's very, very expensive. But I just can't believe something like this strainer. You fabricated this strainer,
Yes.
right? Guys, get a shot of this strainer now. Which strainer is that? Can you name that?
It's a replica of a Ludwig P338.
Okay, P338, right?
Yes.
And look at that, a dead-on copy. That is some real talent, you know. Now, Bob, your affiliation with this drum is...
Well, it's mine.
It belongs to you. You bought it.
So, you know, I have a strong interest in vintage drums, especially the engraved Leedys and Ludwigs of the 20s and 30s. And as I mentioned earlier, I had an early engraved Ludwig Black Beauty and a Leedy Con tuxedo where the original owner, I guess it was flaking and buffed off all the black nickel. And I sent them to Adrian, and I was just astounded when they came back. They were just fabulous. And then became aware also of the drums that he had co-marketed with Johnny Craviotto, the AK Craviotto drums, or Craviotto AK, whatever the case may be. And he had done the sort of the Diamond Series drums, which, you know, the engraving on that was flawless. So when he started coming out with some of his own drums, we continued to correspond. And then he mentioned that he was bringing this and a gold drum to the show. I kept thinking, oh, I just can't let that one go. This is the best of the old and the best of the new.
Thank you very much.
And this is the only one.
One
and
of
you
one.
own it. That's, you know, that's pretty cool. I mean, there are contemporary collectibles today that you know, they'll do a certain run, but to have something this special by such a special artisan. Bob, you've outdone yourself, and so have you, Adrian. I'm telling you, I think this is just beautiful. Now, I really started taking note when you made the gold triumphals. How did that come about? How did someone contact you and say, we've heard about your skills? And
Actually, there was a guy in Germany who introduced me to the Ludwig stuff at the Frankfurt Music Fair, and it was in 2006 or 7, 2 years before the whole thing started. And he told them that I could make something special for the anniversary in 2009. And then there was a long silence, and we wrote some emails back and forth.
Yeah.
And, there was one day when they called me and said that they gave me the official order to make the prototype. And so 1 year before the anniversary, we met again in Frankfurt. I came with a prototype, and I got the order, and that was quite exciting for me because.
I mean, for me, when I saw those, I mean, I don't know, did you end up with one of those? Or,
Yes.
I mean, everybody was just, well, I've got to have one. And they're exquisite. If you haven't seen them, look up the original Triumphals. You'll see a lot of those in Mike Corrado's book. He used to own, what, five of the 7 known to exist, and I believe he sold one.
From Bunny, I bought one from
That's
Bunny.
right.
Yes.
That's right. When
The
we
Wild
first
Rose.
met,
Yeah, the
we had you on our
4x14.
panel, and you guys struck up a deal. But
Yep.
to make something like that just blows me away. And
Yeah.
using the techniques that you've learned, I say that should be an 80-year-old man that has that kind of knowledge and that experience. But here you're a young guy, and look at that. Just to make these parts is amazing. And us as collectors that want to get our stuff redone, Adrian is the guy that you go to. I'm simply blown away. Now, what's the latest? Is this the latest thing you've done?
This is actually the latest. Yeah.
Because I saw 2 other pictures of the gold drum.
Yes, the gold drum is the other drum that I made for the show.
Okay.
But these were the 2 last ones that,
Yes.
that I made.
These are fantastic. Now, you're going to be here for the whole show?
It's just Sunday, yeah.
And I want to let the folks know that Adrian is going to be upstairs at 3 o'clock today. And what can we look to see there? What are you going to be showing?
I will give just a general overview of what I'm doing from my personal drums, standard models, special models, orchestra models, a little bit of restoration, replica parts, a little overview of how the drums are made, just some photos and some. I will explain a little bit and if there are some questions.
If you have not seen the AK line of, they're basically black beauties, aren't they, most of them?
No, my standard line are brass or copper shells, just with a brushed patina finish and oiled shell. That's my standard line.
Yeah.
So black beauty is already something special. So
how long does it take you to do something like this?
it depends. If I can stay just making one drum, maybe between, let's say, 8 and 9 days for one drum.
Okay.
If I can make standard drums that are not engraved, where not so many special parts, then it's
so you're creating these flanges?
Yes.
Collar hooks?
Yes. As I told you, just the tension rods are standard tension rods. They are even made to look like the old ones.
I see that, but just to guys like Bob and I, you know, Bob basically buys drums. I don't see you doing much.
No, I'm not building.
No, he doesn't claim to be a restorer.
That's not my talent.
He just appreciates this and has the ability to acquire them, and he's building a great collection. But when we talk about some of the things that you've come out with, just when I talk about this aging process, it's really amazing. When he asks you, what do you want, aged or brand new? And the aged, I remember when you first started doing it though, the first ones that you did look a little different than the ones you're doing now. It seems like you've progressed, you've mastered something, learned something more.
I'm learning every day.
You're always experimenting, huh?
Yes.
To have the knowledge you have just blows me away. I mean, I don't know how you do this, but you're really to be commended. You're a star in your own right, and I appreciate what you do, Adrian. I've been longing to meet you for 5 years, folks. Adrian and I, when I first started the website, vintagedrumstock.com, I wrote to him. I think I was saying something about him on the site, and I misspelled his name. And he was just contacting me to say, could you please correct my name? And from then I invited him to do an interview, and he said, sure, if we could just get together. He's up in the Italian Alps or whatever, and this was our first time to get together. So that's why I'm so elated, boy. I'll tell you. Adrian Kirchler, Bob Campbell, these guys are stars in their own right in the vintage drum community. Don't forget, look for Adrian at 3 o'clock upstairs. You're going to really be fascinated. Jim MESSINA for VintageDrumStuff.com. We'll see y'all later.
Thank you very much.